positive cases that are coming through right now. Obviously, we've seen hospitalizations go up, deaths go up, and things along that way. But when you take a look at maybe the people that you're seeing come in, are there any positives to be taken away from maybe what you're seeing both at the hospital and maybe just with the people that are testing positive?
Yeah, I think, for those that have been hospitalized, the good news is that the volumes have gone up, which is not good news. But the good news behind that is that people are generally doing fairly well. They're quite ill. Obviously, they require being in the hospital, but we've been able to successfully discharge a large percentage of those people. So that's a good piece of news. I like your question because we always look for a way to think about this in a positive light, because this stinks. There's no two ways about it, but it doesn't all have to be gloom and doom.
And the nice thing, and we talked to President and CEO Brian Stevens about this as well, is that some of these treatments that may have, you watch the news, and of course, in New York City, at Chicago, Milwaukee even has it. But, we talked about Bam Bam. I'm not even going to try to say the word. I think we both struggled trying to say the name of that treatment. But, I mean, some of those things are available right here in Door County as well.
They are, yeah. It's bamlanivimab. See, yeah, every time I try. Yesterday I had a meeting where I nailed it. Bamlanivimab, that's it. Bamlanivimab is the monoclonal antibody that can be given to people prior to them requiring hospitalization or even an ER visit. So there's criteria as far as age, medical comorbidities, things that might predict that you may not do as well. If we can infuse that monoclonal antibody, it actually is shown to help. Now, we not only have the Bam Bam, we also have a second one by Regeneron. It's actually two antibodies, so it's a polyclonal antibody that actually does a better job. So we have both of those right here in Door County. I know I got asked the question when the president was in the hospital for COVID, what is he getting that we're not getting here? And at the time, the only thing that we weren't doing was the Regeneron. He got the Regeneron when it was experimental, but the remdesivir for hospitalized patients, the dexamethasone, which has been around forever, and the convalescent plasma, we do all of those things for our hospitalized patients that require oxygen, plain and simple.
And then speaking of presidents, we had former presidents, Barack Obama, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton say, hey, put a camera on me. If we get this COVID vaccine ready to roll, I'll take it in front of millions of people just to kind of make sure people are a little bit more comfortable with it. So as these vaccines start to roll out, we've been hearing good news about them over the last several weeks in terms of how available they might be, the efficacy of those vaccines. How excited are you to see these come to the marketplace?
I'm very excited about these vaccines. I mean, this is truly the light at the end of the tunnel. We haven't had that light up until this point. And the fact that these two vaccines from Pfizer and Moderna are, as you mentioned, touting efficacy rates between 90 and 96%, that's nothing short of extraordinary, because the annual flu vaccination that most of us get has an efficacy of between 40 and 60%, depending on the year. So I think it is nothing but a positive thing. And I've kind of jokingly said the same thing that the presidents have said on a local level. I've told Brian Stevens, hey, look, you can stick a needle in my arm. I'll be the first to take it. I have no concerns. I think this is one of those things where we're going to need to really encourage people to get the vaccination, because this whole concept of herd immunity that's been bandied about, the people thought that the whole Sweden experiment had to do with herd immunity. Herd immunity has only to do with, it's in the context of vaccinations. And so that's when you talk about herd immunity, and you need to get about 60, 70% of people with the vaccine to cover the rest of those folks. So that's what we're going to be looking toward. And there's going to be more vaccines that are coming out too into 2021. So we've got the two messenger RNA ones that are coming out probably in the next, the week of Christmas. And then there's adenovirus-based vaccines, which is a little different way of doing things. Those will come out probably sometime in January. So it's an exciting time.
And the big concern that I'm sure people have brought up to you go on social media, the big concern they see is like, this vaccine seemed to come a little bit too quickly. Did it get tested enough? Do we know enough about it? What kind of peace of mind can you offer when it comes to, these vaccines being available as quickly as they were?
Well, I kind of think I'm pretty much a straight shooter. When I tell people is the reason that these came to market so fast is because they backed up the money truck to these companies. That's basically what it is. I mean, they were able to, they'd already been working on the messenger RNA technology had not been a brand new thing. It's been studied for a while in the context of cancer research and things like that, and HIV research, Zika virus, things like that. So they were ready when this came along, and they started working on it right away. The usual sort of rate limiting step, or the part that can slow things down, is companies just having the funds to be able to go through and do all these steps. Now, when they've had unlimited money, because this obviously is a global pandemic, we need to get on top of this as fast as possible for the global economies. Governments are just throwing money at this, saying, do what you got to do, let's get this done. And so they were able to crank out a new vaccine in less than a year's time. And prior to this, the quickest vaccine to market was the mumps vaccination from the 60s, and that was 4 years. So the important thing to know is that these vaccines have gone through, they're finishing up phase 3 trials right now, or they have finished, I think. So that's what you're looking for. Phase 3 is all you need prior to going to market. Then the next phase is actually seeing how things go. So I think, if it were a convenience vaccine where you said, boy, wouldn't it be nice if we didn't have to have all these kids die of rotavirus, you could take some more time if you really wanted to. But in this case, we've got people dying, significantly enough. And there's enough problems going on with our economies and with all the stuff that we've all gone through over the last 11 months. I think it's time to get on top of this, and we need to take the vaccination to try and stop this thing.